Sooner Scoop HD.
Word you used was grit
Yeah.
between West Virginia and Baylor. The result was what it was. But did you see that grit, and if so, where did it show up in Waco?
For sure saw back to being us, with being connected together, loud and high energy and grit. I saw it I thought we won the battle of the 50-50 balls. We were on the floor a ton after loose balls. The physicality was high on both levels. And I thought we competed through their runs, and we got back to us. Now we got to find a get over that hump, because we're in it to win it. I wasn't in it to be close. I wasn't in it to just get the pat on the back because we played hard. That should be given. Those should be givens. Part of Oklahoma culture is that we're playing together, tough, passionate, high energy, smart. I thought we made some plays. We got to get better down the stretch because we're going younger. We have some younger, inexperienced guys getting more minutes, and we got to be. Thought we had a handful of bad possessions under 7 minutes and below, and we talked about those possessions. Can't be the same possessions. Maybe a gamble on a shot selection, a gamble on a pass might be different in the first half than it is the last 7 minutes of the game. But definitely saw back to us, back to what we have to be every day.
Coach Justin? Porter, you said we were going to see more of Joe going into that game against Baylor, and we did. Just what did you see out of it that day?
What I've been seeing in practice. Talking to Joe, it's been about being more efficient on offense, more efficient on defense, knowing where you got to go, and then getting your energy in there. And I think what you saw earlier in the year with Joe is, which is normal. You see it with freshmen and new guys. Sometimes they're locked. They're locked up because they're thinking, and where do I need to be defensively? Where do I need to be offensively? And then it looks like they're not having the energy and effort they need. Confidence and knowledge, or knowledge gives you confidence. The knowledge of he feels more comfortable what we're doing defensively. We're more comfortable what we're doing offensively. And now he's able to play and get his athleticism into the game. And we've been seeing that knowledge, that gap of efficiency. He was getting things. And we said like 2-3 weeks ago, and same with Tega, that they're starting to play hard all the time because they're not locked up thinking like, where do I got to be? Now they're knowing the defense, the offense. And what I'm seeing out of those two is an energy level. They pick up the energy with their athleticism, the pace. We got to get better defensively. They got to be on top of where they need to be connected defensively. I was just watching clips individually with them both about, watching Jalen Hill. Jalen gets it now. He's always connected. But those guys bring an athletic ability and an energy level to us.
You mentioned Otega obviously got the start against Baylor. Just did he kind of bring the spark, maybe the athleticism that you were looking for? And how can he build on, kind of getting these more minutes in these recent games?
Otega?
Yeah, Otega.
Yeah. For him, he's got a physicality that's not like a freshman. Like he doesn't have a freshman body. I mean, he's got a veteran strong body. Now he's got to be able to get that into the game because he's got a veteran mindset. That's hard. He's a freshman. He's just, first half, I don't, to be honest, they weren't ready. They weren't ready earlier. And now they're moving into the ready, and we're like, let's go. And he's, I think he leads us in steals in a short amount of minutes. Every game he's gotten some DCOs. His defense has created some offense. If he can get the pace going, win the first 3 steps, get out and run. I love that about Tega. But I think he really, I just literally watched film with him talking about Jalen Hill's defense. I said, to be a great defender, you got to have a mental motor as well as a physical motor. You got to be anticipating. Great defenders anticipate. Great defenders stay. They don't rest on the weak side. They're always sniffing stuff out. That's where Jalen Hill is in his career. And I said, watch Jalen Hill every day. You've got the tools to be an elite defender, but sometimes you're on the weak, you're resting here and there. And he's shrinking that gap with that. And but excited about his arrow where it's going. And I think it's only going to help us getting those guys acclimated and getting them more efficient.
Bob? Porter, you used the term stay ready guys for Joe
Yeah.
Ortega before. Was that ever like an issue, like during this last month? Were there times where you felt maybe they weren't ready, their head wasn't in it?
It wasn't that their head wasn't in it. It's hard to stay ready, especially when you're a newcomer. Because there's a natural disappointment when you want to play. So that's why there was a lot of talks, a lot of meetings, a lot of film sessions, talks after practice, man. Like, you're not going to get where you want to go if you're just upset all the time, and that's the stay ready mentality. Is just every single day I got to be intentional with, being on top of things I need to be in practice, being on top of things that I need to do better. What are the things that I can bring to the table, and I got to bring those every day. Those are things that not everybody has the mindset to stay ready, and that's it, but just like in life. When you get your opportunity, when it comes, if you're not ready, you're not going to seize it. And so to say, was there ever a time where they weren't? Yeah, but they overcame that. They overcame it, and they've really they showed they were ready by consistently playing well in practice.
Jason?
Porter, I kind of just wanted to ask you about, Milos.
Mhm.
You talked about just his aggressiveness and his confidence growing. Where do you feel like that's at in this point of the season after some struggles following the past couple weeks?
I think the thing we talked about Los was the physicality. The Oklahoma State game and the West Virginia game, I don't think he was as physical as he needed to be. And, he knows, just like a lot of freshmen, not Tega as much, but a lot of freshmen have to really get stronger and work on their body. Los is just the same. But I thought he tried to play grittier and more physical against Baylor. We talked about him being aggressive, knowing that he's got that green light to step in and take his shot. He had his season high. He had 3 threes last game. I like where he's going with his shot, being aggressive. And we had 2 true freshmen have double figures in that game. And I thought that, I liked his confidence. I told him he had to smile 3 or 4 times during the game. Because he wants to win so bad, and he right out of the gate. And so he's, I really like how he came back against Baylor. I thought he tried to play a lot more physical defensively.
Yeah, since you've been the coach, played Kansas 3 times, all 3 really competitive games went down to the end. Has there been a common thread in those games that you can identify as something that we definitely need to do to get over that hump and knock them off?
We need to shrink the disparity of free throws they shoot to what we shoot. They've dominated the free throw game. I think they had 16 more free throw attempts. We've got to defend for 40 minutes. Coach Self does such a good job offensively, tweaking stuff. Putting their players in great positions to be successful. The things they run, the side out of bounds plays, the baseline out of bounds plays, elite at it. I think we got to consistently just defend. I thought there was a stretch we did really well there, and I know they got to the foul line a ton down the stretch. But then you have to shoot the ball well. We were 2 for 19, I think, or something like that there. We didn't shoot the ball well. And I just think against them, they're going to be defensively. They're so solid. You're going to have to knock down some shots because they're either switching, they're rotating, they got some length. So you got to be able to stretch it by knocking down some shots.
Chris?
Yeah, Coach, when you're in a bit of a slump like this, and then you're playing a team like Kansas, what's the balance between focusing on what they do so well and just focusing on getting your guys back on track?
You know what? That balance has been with us almost every game because it seems like we're playing a top 10, 15 team every game. And it's crazy. Someone just brought to my attention, you have 18 Big 12 conference games. 14 of them have been against top 21 net rated teams. And then Oklahoma State's probably high 20s now. So 16 of your 18 conference games are against top 28. So the balance of playing, like when you say playing a team like Kansas, we're playing the best teams in the country, it seems like almost every night. But there is a balance. We all do, but we got to focus on what we're doing well, what we need to do better, what we need to do offensively. Then you're also game planning for what they do. Trying to take away their top 2, 3 strengths. Understanding what they're doing defensively. How are we going to score? So there's a definite balance of what they being locked in with your preparation, your scout, and then also being locked in on, getting better every day. We've got to get better every day. And, the last 2 days we were back to us getting better. Previous 10, we lost our way with our fabric of who we are, the grit, the energy. And we got back to that. Now I want to keep pushing to get better so we can get over the hump and not lose a close game to beat a top 10 team.
Yes, okay, so Coach, as announced last night, the SEC move is being announced a year earlier. And so what do you think on taking on top 10 teams like Alabama and Tennessee starting in 2024?
You know what, I truly have not thought about specific teams. I thought about taking on Alabama 2 weeks ago, but I truly haven't thought about taking on specific teams yet. See, I'm just glad we have clarity. So I know, talking to recruits, the class of 2024 now know that when we recruit that class, they're going to be playing in the SEC. The teams that I'm focusing in are Kansas, Kansas State, Texas, Texas Tech, the teams that we got coming up, TCU, Iowa State. Those are all the teams that I'm locked in on right now. But obviously with the announcement, clarity, knowing, so we know when. That not knowing was the tricky part. But now that we know, my whole focus is competing in this Big 12, beating Kansas tomorrow, getting ready, finish off this year. We got another year. So the biggest thing was the clarity of knowing.
Well, on that, I mean, you're focused on what's in front of you right now, but you've talked about having to recruit, two conferences in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And this is hung over your head before you coached a game here.
Yeah.
What does that clarity do for you day to day in recruiting and doing this job that you haven't had before?
Well, the class of 2024, I mean, we're going to be, they know we're going to be the SEC. This spring signing day, this spring signing class will be, depending on how many years they have, if it's in the transfer portal, we'll have both. So it's just basically the clarity of the class of 2024, that we recruiting knowing that us and Texas are going to be in this power conference there. But until then, and I said this last night on a radio show, college basketball, the leagues are cyclical. We've had some years the Big Ten was really good. Some years the ACC really good. We're in a 2-year window of unprecedented territory with the Big 12. I mean, it's unprecedented what's going on. I mean, to have this many top teams. And so that focus has got to be on that. I mean, what you're in right there. So that is where our focus is, to compete right now, for us to get better. The recruiting, I know we'll answer a million questions when the season's over, but we obviously got to keep, building your roster, building your roster, and that'll be a key.
Jason?
We're kind of wanted to talk to you about, I guess, the foul differential that you guys have been facing. You guys beat Baylor in points in the paint. Is there any frustration there knowing that you're getting drives to the rim and you're getting points in the paint but not getting calls?
There's a frustration, but there's just so much I can control. I want to coach the next game. There's just so much I can control. So what I can control is to keep talking to our guys about playing their tails off without fouling, trying to really show the hands that we're not reaching or we're not coming down on guys or we're in good defensive position. I can control our guys be more physical. Instead of going away from it, man, go through their arms. So I'm just trying to focus in on what we can control, because if I think about it and keep watching the tape over and over and pulling clips, I'll drive myself crazy. So I got to focus in on what we can control, playing as hard as you can without fouling and being more physical offensively. I thought we were physical in the Baylor game, like you said. We were getting to the paint. We had an aggressive mindset from the jump, so we were trying to control what we control.
What's your confidence level with this team, as we head into the final few weeks of the regular season?
I think going through a week or 8 days that we had, my whole thing was about getting back to us. I know when we're us, we can play with anybody. We just have to get over the hump. We've had a lot of close ones. We've shown we've been able to do it. So based on how we came and responded to the couple days after West Virginia, to how we gritted it out, played hard against Baylor, the confidence is high. Now we gotta get over that hump. We gotta find a way to win. You gotta, when you have your culture and your program where you want, the intangibles, the culture intangibles are a given. And that gives you confidence. When those are a given, it gives you confidence to compete against everybody. We got kind of shaken there for 8 days. And I got back to a lot of stuff that has to be with our fabric. But our confidence is, you know, if we're playing in those given intangibles, when those are all checked, and they should be. They should be. When you get your program where you want it, all those intangibles of your culture should be just a given every day. And those guys own it. The players in the locker room own it. They are relentless in fighting for that. That gives you confidence. We've fought to get back to those culture things, and now we're going to go fight Kansas and try to, you know, what the X and O part of it we need to do, execution part of it that we need to do.
Sooner Scoop HD.